brother would have to carry me carefully so he didn't get the polish all over his clothes. And then when Arthur was a baby, I remember going to a park, and they didn't have strollers or anything. He had Arthur in a basket, like a laundry basket with a little mosquito netting over it. And I remember walking with them. He had Arthur on his shoulder, and somebody asked him if they wanted to buy popcorn. Thought it was a popcorn carrier. I remember that. The 4th of July, I remember him saying I couldn't light anything until I couldn't see my hands before me. So I would make jokes. I'd put my hands behind me, then I couldn't see my hands. He wanted it to be dark. He was very patient with me. My mother and I had a different kind of relationship. We spent a lot of time in the house cleaning. She cleaned, and we sang as she cleaned. I would stand on the little throw rugs while she cleaned them so they wouldn't move. And we sang things like, I'm the Sheik of Araby. You want me to sing it? I'm the Sheik of Araby. Your love belongs to me. At night when you're asleep, into your tent I'll creep. The stars that shine above will lead our way to love. Your world belongs to me, the Sheik of Araby. I remember having scarlet fever, and my Aunt Diana wanted to see me, so she climbed the neighbors' steps and stood on their porch, and I looked out the window and we waved because I was quarantined. She couldn't come in. That was sad. We had radio. I liked to listen to children's mystery things. When I got a little older, I remember listening to The Lone Ranger and the Goldbergs. And they'd go to a movie and leave me watching my brother and sister. And I'd listen to the radio instead of doing the dishes as I was supposed to.
You couldn't do both?
Nope. I would do the dishes almost when they got home. I like to read The Wizard of Oz. Specifically, I like those books. And most of my memories are outside. Roller skating with my friends. There were concrete steps going down to the street level. And she must have been pretty dumb. But I dared this friend to roller skate down those concrete steps. She didn't make it. Her mother had to grab her. She was crying. I think she broke something. Sidel and I had a good time, and she was an only child, and so she could have little paper dolls around, and no little kids would disturb them, and little cups and saucers. And so that was special. We would color pictures in magazines. Can you imagine that? There were black and white pictures in magazines, and we would color them. Isn't that simple? Nice? Yeah, that was good. Shirley, her mother, took us downtown on the L, and I was afraid because every time it made a turn, I thought maybe it would tip. So I, who was a little skinny thing, would run to the other side to balance the train. We lived on Hamlin. It was right across the street from the school, and I was going to school, Hagen School by that time. And on a rainy day, all the mothers would come to pick up the kids, and my mother didn't come. She said, we live across the street from the school. Can't you get across? I remember wheeling the buggy up and back down the block and heard about Amelia Earhart's crash. Waiting grammar school, we had pins that had long ribbons on them, and we wore them so proudly. That meant we were graduating. My brother had to go home one day because he wet his pants. And the teacher said, "Is your brother okay? You had to take him home." I said, "Yeah, he had a headache." I didn't want to tell that he wet his pants. We always had very small apartments. And for a while, my grandparents lived with us. And my parents slept in the dining room on a fold-out bed. My grandparents slept in the bedroom with the two little ones, I guess. It was pretty crowded. Later on, when we had the big apartment, we had a big dining room. On Sundays, my mother's family would get together and they would have dinner and then play poker. And invariably, somebody would get angry at the poker game and leave. It was kind of funny. But they'd be back the next week. Of course, the beginning of World War II, I was already in high school, and the principal had an assembly, the whole class, the day after Pearl Harbor, which was a Sunday, so this was a Monday. And we listened on the radio to President Roosevelt announcing we were getting in the war. And then the boys all said they were going to go, they were going to join. Eventually, a lot of them did.
Do you remember anything about the Holocaust?
No. I know there was a tin bank, sort of, to put money in for Palestine. And we would put money in, and a man would come and collect the little tin cans. High holidays, I would go and get dressed up and ask at the door to come in, and they wouldn't let me because I didn't belong. So we had a custom, sort of. My Jewish friends would kind of congregate in front of the synagogue, dressed up like we were part of it. Isn't that sad? We had to do it that way. That was my first consciousness of Archie. One year, he joined us standing out there. I had a purple dress on, light, sort of lilac purple. What just came to mind was, my father had a car. That was nice. And we'd go on a summer evening. The peony lady, for $1, she'd give you a bag and a knife, and you could pick all the peonies you wanted. During World War II, we had victory gardens. So we always rented apartments, but we were living on Springfield there then, and it was just a small building. And I raised vegetables, mostly radishes, I remember. On Cleveland, I had a real good strawberry patch after I got married. Big strawberries. It was very nice. And grapes on the fence. Do you remember any of that?
I remember the grapes, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fredonia. My uncle finally bought me a bicycle when I was about 12 or 13. And my grandfather was living with us, and he had a newsstand on Montrose Avenue. And I would relieve him for lunch. And in the winter, that was pretty hard. We loved matzah and butter with a little salt on it. And I remember standing on the back porch and eating it with Jerry. We were in heaven. And I said, wouldn't it be nice if the whole world was made of matzah? And then I said, yeah, but when it rained, it wouldn't be so good. So I was pretty young when I thought all that. And now I can't even get matzah. Oh, well.
We remember her devotion to Archie, her handling with great deftness of his mercurial personality.
She always let Archie have his show and be the star of each occasion, but once alone with her, you'd quickly realize she was just as exceptional and very confident in expressing her own point of view.
We remember her quick wit and how she cherished her independence, which was rarely compromised. I understand she was still driving to Walmart.
We remember her love of dogs and children.
Esther was the embodiment of her name. She was a true star of the community.
We will miss her friendship, her hilarious quips, and her tender hugs.
For us, her passing is the closing of the Galena chapter of our lives.
Farewell, Esther.
Farewell, Esther. We love
We
you.
love you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Esther. Happy birthday to you. And not too many more. Have a good year. I love you all. We love you.
Does she blow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do it.
One more.